Okay, big muddy. It is Sunday morning and the cows just got their hay and we got rain coming any minute here, so I'm glad to get all that done. Just going to make a little mini video here for you. Here they are back in that pasture there. You can see the area around where the hay feeder is there. You can see that it's kind of, all muddy and crap and everything all around there, and the whole little circular area there, which just because they're going up on there, and stuff like that. And so they're in that pasture over there, and I was going to show you over here. Now here's the side of this one here, and this is the front pasture that we reseeded. That's what I was going to show you. There's that gate. I got that gate for $50, 16-foot gate. You can't even get those anymore. So that's blocking them off from going over here into this. Okay, so I was going to show you some of the things I reseeded. And that circular area back there where the hay feeder is, this is where the old circular feeder was. And there's hay and mud and everything down there. Well, I just threw a bunch of that seed on it, it already had some grasses growing up, but you can see it's coming up real nice. This is back here in this area, this would be the open pasture mix back in here, because it's wide open back in here. So I put that, I think it was called the Super Grazer open pasture mix back in here, where it wasn't covered up by trees, and I threw a little Timothy on top of it. You can see this other grass here is real good too. We got red clover in there, and the regular grasses here ain't nothing to sneeze at. But anyway, I was going to show you how some of this grass was coming up here. So this is the very front pasture here. Like I said, blocked off to them right now. You can see some pretty grass here. It's really growing up because they hadn't been up here grazing. But I was going to show you some of these spots where, like, I put some of this grass. I put it a lot in some of the bare spots and then threw it all out there. But anyways, I was going to show you some of these areas up here and try to get done here before it rains. This whole area right up here, this right here was a big, wide open area. You can see the grass coming up in there now where I did it. And like over here, little bare area, I threw that grass up in there, and it'll spread too. See, all over in there you can see all these little bare areas where I put the grass is coming up real well. And what's good about that is we've had a really perfect September, thank God, for growing grass. I was scared that I put it down too late, and yet we've had plenty of rain, and we haven't even had one frost yet. And tomorrow's September 26th. I know that because it's Darlene's birthday and our anniversary. Now over here, you can see where I threw down some of this shady pasture mix. Over here where the trees and stuff are, I threw down this shady pasture mix along with that white clover. And you can see it all taken off up in here. This was all just a big, big bare area, nothing but dirt, because the cows would come up and lay around in here, and you can see it's taken off up in there now. And you can see the blades coming up and that clover over in here. I actually don't want to walk around on it too much, but you can see it all coming up in here. This is the shady pasture area. So all back in this area back here, we threw down the shady pasture along with the Ladino white clover. And so back over here, like I said, I'll continue on up in the open area here now. Now here's another shady area over there where all these little poplar trees are over in here, this little stand over here. I threw the shady pasture mix all up in there, and it's taken off all back up in there. So back up in that area up in there, on the side of the pasture, I threw the shady pasture mix underneath these little trees and stuff. Anywhere where the sunlight was compromised, I put the shady pasture mix. You can see along up in here, you can see that taking off right there, along there. And so now coming up here, this is all up in the open area, heading up toward the road. I'm headed west now. And you can see, like I said, the grass itself is growing pretty good, which is fine. Like I said, I put this open pasture mix out here in some of the areas where it was a little bit open, like over here. Neil threw me some dirt over there and I replanted it. That's coming up good. You can See the grass coming up in there. That's the open pasture mix all up in here. This right here was a big, gigantic open, a big, wide open bare area, completely bare. And you can see now it's coming up real good. Like I say, that's the open pasture mix along with the Timothy. And when I say open pasture mix, I think we called it, their brand was called the Super Grazer Mix. Has that, has the bird's foot trefoil and the chicory in with it, which is really good for livestock. And you see a lot of clover in here. Yeah, even the native grasses in here are really good, you know. But you can see there's clover, there's the, like I said, what I'm calling the native grasses, which is like quack grass and everything else. Nothing wrong with that. There's a big open area that was completely wide open. And you can see the grass is coming back in there now where I planted it. Again, that's the open pasture mix. So anyways, this is their front pasture, and this is just going to grow, and trying to get these grasses established in here, which I talked to Bill this morning when I went to get hay, and he said this has been a real good year. He agreed with me that we did it just right. And here's another open area that we planted, and you can see the grasses coming up in there, all up in there, the young grass taken off. And see, it's getting the root system established now, and then here in probably another 2 or 3 weeks it'll go dormant, and then of course, you know, in December when everything be covered with snow, then because it established the root system during the fall here, we can then you know, in the spring it'll start coming up again. And then once it gets some growth on it in this next spring and summer, we can turn them loose up here. But look at all this clover. Look at all that. Boy, that's a lot of clover. That's good for them. Clover and grasses, and this is, like I said, I threw some out here too. However much made it down to the ground, I'm not sure. Probably a percentage, you know. But anyways, and that's my driveway back over there looking south. And again, there's the trees back over in that area where I put the shady pasture mix over in there. And then like back over here was all the open pasture mix. So anyways, looking really good. And this back pasture back there where they're at now is looking good too. Just that I have to get back there and clean up all the sticks and stuff. Now look at this. Here was a big open area. This was like almost a dead area. There was a bunch of ferns and crap growing here. I don't know what used to be here. But I came up and I put some manure down here and went back and forth over with a skid steer. Then I put some of that fresh grass seed on it. And we now have, and I know this may just look like one little patch, but as you go and fix each individual patch, see, this will establish the root system and then it'll grow. You can see that there. It's taken off. But see, you establish the root system now. And then this next year, we let it get taken off there, and then after so many odd weeks, you got to watch it and let it get, I think he said 8 to 10 inches high, and then turn them loose in here to eat half of it, and then take them back off of it and put it on another one. Then let it grow up again and turn them back in here. It's called the half-back option. You could grow it 10 inches high, and you put them in here to eat 5 of the 10 inches. They eat half of it, then put them back to another thing. Which, as I'm opening up more pasture going toward the back of the property back there, that'll work fine. So, anyways, looks nice and green. Really good stuff for the moose. I hope they're happy. They better be, spoiled, rotten suckers. But, yeah, some rocks up in here, which actually keeps their hoofs trimmed. So, yeah, back in there, on that side, I put the shady pasture mix because it's growing real well up in there. So all this whole area up in here will be ready to go. This next spring, we'll turn them loose into here after it gets up a bit. And this will be a whole new pasture, and then I can be back in the back there doing other stuff. So that's the way it works. So anyways, walking back to the east now. Yeah, but they're all happy. They're back there. They got their hay today, and so they can quit complaining. But this little area here really looked junky until I took and cut out some of the little trees, and I picked up all the wood and skidster load of wood. This one little area right back here, just junk laying all around here. Cleaned it all up. I weed whacked all the weeds down to the ground, got everything low. Then I threw all that seed out here, like I said, the open pasture seed and the Timothy on top of it. And so anyways, all right, well, that's the scoop from the good old UP. It's kind of cloudy today. We got rain moving. It's supposed to rain for like 2 or 3 days. That's why we boogied over to Bill's early this morning and got the hay. So got the hay, fed the cows, and everybody's happy. All right, big guy, there's the report from First Fruits Farm.